What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
Hey, Marvin.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, everybody? Dusty's MIA tonight. We don't know what happened to him. God bless his soul.
I actually don't know. As of right now of this recording, we still do not know.
Yeah, it's a mystery. It's up in the air.
Maybe he'll pop up.
But the show must go on, you know?
Yes.
No matter what. Maybe he doesn't have power.
Right.
He loses power often.
Yeah, that's true. Tornadoes and shit in the fucking Midwest is crazy.
But that's all right. If he pops in late, we'll get him in here.
Yep.
How you doing, Marvin? You good?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm doing great.
What you been up to? Hey, guess what? Sorry to interrupt you. This is our what number show is this? We're like,
is it 50?
Well, no, we actually last episode was our 1 year anniversary. That's
right.
We just surpassed our 1 year, so that's cool.
Yeah, we did absolutely nothing. Shouts out to the fans.
What were we supposed to have?
Get nothing.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
You lose.
Next year when we have...
You know that reference, Dan?
No.
Wow.
I probably know it when you say it, but... What is
Willy Wonka.
Oh, nah, that's too deep of a reference for me.
What?
I like Willy Wonka,
that's
but
the
not...
one.
Yeah, I don't remember like to quote it like that. But this is episode 48.
Oh, okay. I thought we were at 50. Okay.
Well, technically I think we're at 51 because we had 3 shows that didn't make it.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, poor shows.
No.
But we're good. 47 shows in a year. That's not bad. Good numbers.
That's
pretty
good.
consistent, I'd say.
Yeah.
And we did miss a couple weeks here and there, obviously, for like random shit. So it's pretty good. Pretty good numbers, I guess. What were you starting to say? And I interrupted you.
You just were asking me what I've been up to.
Oh yeah.
I went on a hiking trail.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Up by Lake Mead out here. It was cool. It was great. It was
yeah.
You know, it was like some old tunnels from like I think it was some railroad tunnels actually.
Like Underground Railroad
from back in the day. No, not Underground.
I don't. No. I didn't mean the Underground Railroad like the slavery thing. I meant like actual under the ground railroads.
No, just tunnels through like these.
I see.
Rocks. Yeah, not Harriet Tubman.
Nah,
yeah.
I got you. So that's cool. That was fun.
I think she was in Vegas.
Nah, yeah, she was thrown down on black, all on black, and then all on red, and she won both times. That's what I heard.
That's right.
Glad you didn't get stuck in a crevasse, Marvin. Had to fucking saw your own.
Yeah, no,
off.
it wasn't that type of hiking. It was really just a walking trail. I went with one of my work buddies, and he had his dog with him. That was cool.
Yeah,
he has like a little cart thing that he scoots his dog along in. It was pretty cool.
Cute. What kind of dog does he have?
Yeah, because I actually don't know. Some kind of it's a little wiener dog actually. I don't know if it's full, but it's definitely got some wiener in it.
Nice.
But he's pretty old, so he's like 15 or 16. So you let him walk a little bit, but he's old, so
right.
Not too much. It was fun though.
Well,
we got
cool.
up early. I got up at like what? I got up at like 5:30 or something.
That's not cool.
Left at 6. Drove all the way over there. Yeah.
Not a fan of that. Of you waking up.
Check them levels. Yeah, we had to make sure audio's coming in.
Yep. I always get every time we're recording, I just get this like fear.
Yep.
That comes over me. I gotta just double check. That's all.
Yep.
Oh boy. So
how about you? What you been up to?
Nothing much, really. Just been watching hockey. That did not end well last night. Rangers out in 7.
Bad year to start being a Rangers fan.
Oh yeah, but you got to strap in, Marvin. I've been at this shit for 35 years. This is the way it is. You're in for disappointment, buddy. Consistent disappointment. Other than that, I finished up. We talked about it a little bit because I know you started watching it, but I finished the Evil Dead show.
Oh, that's right.
What are you still in the first season?
Yeah, still in the first season. I haven't been able to watch much recently.
Yeah, I won't talk too many spoilers for your sake, but my God, it's probably one of the best shows I've ever watched in my life. And like, I know that sounds funny because you know we've talked about shows like Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad and Sopranos, but like,
it's crazy. Yeah, no, it's crazy that it's up there with those.
But it's for a specific reason. Like, those are great shows
Clearly,
because they're great shows. This is a great show. Like, it's a good show. It's a well-made show. It's like written well. It's got a very surprisingly high production value. I don't know what the budget was for the show, but in fact, let me look it up. Evil Dead Rise budget. I'm sorry, not Rise. Evil Dead Ash vs. Evil Dead is the show we're talking about. Yeah, it just has really good production value, and like, yeah, I don't know, it's just fucking great. Especially as like it's obviously geared towards Evil Dead fans. I wouldn't expect like everybody to just like watch it.
Right, it's not like that pickup like you were saying with Breaking Bad and shit. It's not something you just pick up, but it does do Evil Dead justice, which is probably why you think it's so good.
But yeah, well, I like it as an Evil Dead fan. Yeah. But I think that actually, I do think it could be enjoyed by just random people, right?
Okay.
Because, so like, obviously the show is completely filled with like references and Easter eggs and things like from the films.
Yeah.
But it doesn't rely on those things. So I've talked about this before with Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I'm a huge fan of that movie. I think it's like one of the best requels ever made. Especially for like a 30-year-old franchise, but this is like on par with that, I think, if not better. I mean, it's like equal in terms of how good it was, like for old fans, but also for newer fans too. Because
yeah, that's impressive.
You know, you're only a couple episodes in, but like I'm sure you could already tell that like it builds on the lore of Evil Dead, which both fan and non-fan could find enjoyable, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like I was introduced so far to. I forgot the demon's name, but you know, the weird fucking jittering demon that they initially, and I didn't even know, like, I didn't even think about there being like other demons, you know, that.
Well, the old Evil Dead really doesn't even build on that, right? Like,
exactly, yeah.
Evil Dead 2 is really the one that starts to give you like some sort of lore, which is just like, you know, ancient Sumerian text and like. You know, you get the Kandarian demon, that's the camera moving through the trees, and then, you know, it creates deadites. But beyond that, you never really get much. So this show builds off of that. But then this show, you'll see in season 2, starts to really build on the lore of Ash himself as well. Like, goes into his childhood and like...
Oh, okay. I can't wait. That's sick.
And it's really good. It's I don't know. I just thought it was really great. And then by the end of it, again, I won't spoil it, but, you know, by the third... I actually did some... So... I don't know what happened. When this show came out in 2016, like I was hyped for it. I watched the first couple episodes, but it was going week to week, and I think I just kind of like lost track of its existence. And I didn't remember. Happens. Yeah. And I didn't remember it existed until we just recently watched and reviewed Evil Dead Rise. And then Dusty and I went back and watched the originals just to kind of like catch up and refresh ourselves. And I was like, oh, wait, oh, fuck, the show exists. So it's kind of what sparked me to start watching it. But like, I had read that it only went 3 seasons and that it got canceled because of lack of real-time viewers or whatever the fuck they call it.
The metrics weren't hidden.
Yeah. So, but when I read that they canceled it, I was reading why they canceled it. I was trying to figure out why. And it said like, despite it ending on a cliffhanger, they decided to cancel the show. So I was watching it, like preparing myself to be like, disappointed, like, fuck, I'm not gonna, like, it's gonna end on a cliffhanger and then it's over. But it's not actually what happens, because then I read an interview with Bruce Campbell, like they knew going into season 3 that it was probably gonna not get renewed, so they gave it like an ending. It has like a solid ending, but it's also a cliffhanger that if they wanted to continue it at some point down the road, it would make sense.
That's smart. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I mean, I also like the idea of them ending it at 3, you know, because we always talk about
I think
it started getting longer and longer, you know.
I think it ended perfectly. Now there's some talk recently, because Evil Dead Rise was has been in production for a long time. In fact, I think they've
has it?
Yeah, they filmed it like years ago, like 2016, 2017 ish.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
I my dates are probably wrong, but it was back around then. Sure. And because of COVID and like theaters being up in the air and like all that stuff, Warner Brothers like they weren't planning on releasing it, and then finally they decided to release it obviously to theaters now, and I guess that it's doing well. I have a feeling that they're probably gonna start building on it.
I think so. I think it was, we covered it. It was great.
Yeah. I think they're gonna be. There was like a petition to bring back the show to like Netflix or another platform. I think they said that they have potential plans to bring it back as an animation, which I don't personally care for.
Yeah.
But yeah, for what it was.
I mean, I do like that Bruce Campbell is still gonna be the voice for Ash. I think that's a big help for animation.
It is. Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit with the Star Wars, Clone Wars, or whatever whichever one I was trying to watch, and the big shift of voices was like a kind of a killer for me. It's kind of hard to get over for me personally. I don't know why.
Well, because I mean, voice acting is such an important part. It's like you know, think of Last of Us, like the game, right? Like I was true, super hung up on the voice actors, you know? Yeah. So that's a thing for sure. But I'm really curious to see where the Evil Dead franchise is going to go from here. Because I think I said it briefly when in our review, but it's like it's a unique horror franchise in that like it jumped from like horror movie to like horror comedy to fantasy comedy in Army of Darkness, and then the show brought it back to like horror comedy, but much more on like the horror side. I mean, the comedy side of it. I think the show does a really good blend of the two.
Yeah, it does.
And Bruce Campbell's fucking brilliant in it. He's hilarious.
Yeah, he is.
But like the fact remains, he's 64 years old. So like, how long is this guy gonna play Ash and carry the like? He's very much like the franchise. Like people who like Evil Dead like it for Ash, right? And for Bruce. So I'm wondering if you could have a successful Evil Dead franchise without Ash being a character.
Yeah, it would be hard. Maybe if they retcon him having a child or something, and then.
Well, that's why that's why Evil Dead Rise was interesting to me, because it's very much set in the same universe, right?
Yep.
It's like it builds up. It tells you like straight up, like there's 3 Necronomicons.
Yeah. And
they're like cousins to one another, basically.
Right.
And they all do like their own different things, but more or less summon the Kandarian demon, right? But that one was like a straight horror movie, Evil Dead Rise. Yeah. There was like, I mean, it was, it was like funny at times, but not funny because it's comedy. It was funny just because like how ridiculous it was that shit was happening.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, when a woman's leg gets shredded by a cheese grater, like you could only laugh, right?
Exactly.
Like, oh my God, that's so funny how actual terrible that would be to happen in your life, you know?
Yeah.
Because everybody's thought that, right? At one point or another. Like,
yeah, for sure.
If you're grating some cheese, you always get that thought in your head of like, man, this would suck if it got on my skin.
This would suck. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'll be interested to see where the franchise goes. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, he's older and like can't carry the franchise anymore. And I don't think he could ever fill his shoes. But like, you know, part of me is now wondering, like, is it even worth carrying on the franchise without Bruce Campbell? But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Evil Dead Rise was great. I liked it.
Yeah, but it was awesome.
But it did play outside of the lore, right? Like a little. It had like Easter eggs and stuff, but outside of that, it wasn't really like tied to it in really any significant way. It was sort of like a standalone thing. But anyway. So I finished off that show and it was great. And now I have that like post-show depression that you go through when you finish a show. Then you're just like, fuck, now what does my life do?
What do I do now? Yeah.
I have a lot of backlogged stuff though. I have
That's a good thing.
I got to finish this season of fucking Mandalorian, which I kind of don't care to. I don't hate the show. It's just, I don't know. There's a show that's on Netflix that I wanted to watch. It's like a foreign show. I can't remember the name of it. I want to watch. So I got a couple things, but
there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Backlog never ends.
Yeah.
Did you ever start Sweet Tooth?
No, I was waiting. Sweet Tooth. No, that aired when I was in the process of finishing Evil Dead. I'm gonna start it next. I want to finish the ones that like, because that's all at once. I could just binge that. I specifically want to finish Mandalorian because it's kind of like eating away at me that I haven't. I'm a few episodes behind on that show Yellow Jackets we've talked about a little bit.
How's that turning out? Is it getting any better?
I haven't watched it.
Is it coming together?
I haven't watched it since my last complaint, so I don't know.
Got it.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. And you said you haven't really watched much of anything, huh?
Nah, I've just been doing stuff, so I haven't,
Interesting.
And I've been going back to the office. When I was in the office today, that was. It actually wasn't too bad. We moved our desk over closer to it's a beautiful view in the office. We're on the 8th floor, and you can see, like the fucking mountains and shit. It's great. So it's not so bad.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad going back to the office as long as, I don't think I could do it every single day, though.
It's definitely it's not every day. We're going to be doing
that's good.
Like 3 days, some shit like that. Yeah.
That's doable.
So not terrible.
And that's what you were doing when you first got the job, too. It's just COVID interrupted that.
Yeah.
Well, were you doing it every day? Yeah, you were going every day.
Yeah, it was every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing about Evil Dead, actually, while I'm still thinking about it, I watched a presser with for Evil Dead Rise, and it was Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, the director whose name I can't think of off the top of my head.
Lee Cronin?
Lee Cronin, yeah, and then the 2 actresses who played the main characters, the sisters.
Yep.
And they were talking about the interviewer was talking about like, oh man, like this is a 30-year-old franchise, like what's it like? Because Bruce Campbell was executive producer on it, so was Sam Raimi, and then Robert Tappert, who's the longtime co-producer, like he made the originals with them. He co-produced it as well. So they were kind of talking about like what it's like to get back together and like kind of make all this stuff. And they were reminiscing about like when they made this just small, low budget horror movie. And I didn't know this at the time, and it would like blew my mind the way pure chance kind of works sometimes, right? So when they had so the way Sam Raimi met Rob Tappert was roommates in college with Sam Raimi's brother, Ted Raimi, and he got introduced to Sam Raimi that way. Yeah. And then Sam Raimi was like, "Oh, I want to make a movie," and then they all decided to make a movie together. But they made a short at first called Among the Woods or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was really just like a proof of concept to help Sam Raimi kind of like figure out his technique for like scares and things like that.
Right, yeah.
And they took that to like a small little like editing facility or whatever you do. Like back then they had like little editing places.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that the editing tech who worked there was Joel Cohen of the Coen brothers, whom are like one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, right?
Yeah.
And while he was helping them edit their short film, he got inspired, like, oh shit, here's like a group of kids just like making a movie on no budget. Like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
So he went out and shot his short, which was a proof of concept for their first movie, Blood Simple, and went on to obviously become, like I said, one of the greatest filmmaking duos of all time. But it's just so funny that like 2 great filmmakers, Sam Raimi and Joel Cohen, just like by pure chance as kids, like happened to like come together in this place. But
yeah, that's crazy. That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's a cool story I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess we got to do this without Dusty. This is going to be tough, but try to get through the news here. So I got some
news.
I'm always trying to step on his toes anyway, so this kind of works out.
Oh yeah, you're born for this. You're ready. This is your big moment.
Yeah, I'm not going to get too I don't have too much to talk about really, but there are a couple of things that I think are interesting. Namely, good old Zack Snyder.
Uh-oh.
So you know how I feel about Zack, right?
Yep.
And his trilogy. Well, so he had a plan, Marvin, for an entire Justice League trilogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his whole story like centered around like Superman and like the rise, fall, and then like redemption of Superman, basically.
Okay.
And if you actually, so we never really got too much into this, but his vision for Superman, and as you know, is like very off kilter from like what Superman is. Now you understand this because you've watched the Chris
I understand. Yep.
But,
that's right.
But he is like really into I don't even know what you would call it. It's like it's a political philosopher. What's her name? I gotta look it up. Hang on. Because it's gonna Anne Rand, right? And like he sent, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but he centered his like entire like Superman idea around like her nihilistic like views of things, right? That's why Superman and Man of Steel is like very just like should I save humanity? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, well, Snyder he's basically the Donald Trump of movies at this point because he's got these sycophantic fucking cultists that love him in his movies that like will defend him to the death. Yeah. And now he's taking advantage of that very much the way Trump does. And he had his own con, Snyder Con. And he got people hyped up on social media a couple weeks ago where
when he dropped that date.
He dropped that date that was voiced by Darkseid, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, he's gonna Netflix is buying it!" All this fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
And it turned out it was just like a screening of his 3 movies with him or something. But now he's revealed some more information. He's been on a podcast, the Russo brothers, who obviously did the Endgame and Infinity War and those movies.
Yep.
They have a podcast. They had him on, and they asked him what his plan was for Superman. And I had heard rumors of this a long time ago. Ed and I kind of made fun of it, but he confirmed it basically. Yeah. So his vision for this whole thing, right, was that in Superman's absence, Bruce Wayne was going to have an affair or have some sort of relationship with Lois Lane. And Superman was going to come back. And then she was going to make the decision to go back with Clark, with Superman, despite Bruce being in love with her. Turns out, though, she's pregnant with Bruce's baby. Oh, my God. What a crazy love triangle, right? And this is going to launch Superman into, like, this crazy fucking global ending thing. And eventually Bruce Wayne was supposed to die. And then Superman, being redeemed, was going to raise Bruce's son, who was going to go on to take on the mantle of Batman. It's the most nonsensical fucking stupid fucking thing of all time. And his fans are out here like, oh my God, that's so deep and adult.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Well, this week's news piece that I got for you, there's more revealed at SnyderCon. And that was his plan for Wonder Woman. So Zack Snyder revealed that his plan for Wonder Woman. Now, I don't know if you know much about Wonder Woman and her origins, but she's from like this hidden island of Amazonians called
I do recall
this. Yep. And they're basically descendants of like the Greek gods. Like she's the child of Zeus and like all this shit, right?
Right.
But in Snyder's vision, I'm going to quote Snyder real quick. In short, Snyder was originally planning to make Gal Gadot's Diana a Kryptonian, just like Superman, noting that plans were in place to have Zeus, Wonder Woman's father, originate on Krypton. And quote, it's this whole thing with Ares and Zeus. We considered how Zeus could possibly be a Kryptonian so that Wonder Woman's powers, you could sort of see where that's going. Because the whole thing of whether or not magic or gods, there's a version where you like, that's cool, I guess. But then there's also more the scientific aspect. You have the pathology built up of like, where do gods come from? What is that about? We had played around with that quite a bit. From what it sounds like, he was going to take the Marvel route of Thor. Because in Marvel comics, like it's basically aliens, right? Thor is an alien. That early man just came into contact and was like, oh, they're clearly gods, right?
Okay.
But in DC, like, they are just gods, like, as we humans. Yeah. Okay, so he was going to make them Kryptonian and kind of follow the same thing, and then his quote goes on to say, Ares was the one that caused the scout ship to crash, to be in the ice, which is the scout ship in Man of Steel.
Right.
He killed his crew. Wow, what a dumb fucking idea that is. I'm just going to go out and say it, because I don't know if you're familiar with Superman's title, but he is the last son of Krypton for a reason.
Right.
He is the last of his kind.
Yeah.
What makes him special?
Let's just devalue that.
Yeah, everybody's Kryptonian. Yeah, fuck it.
I'm Kryptonian. Hey.
Yeah, everybody's Kryptonian. Like, what does that do? And And that's actually my only problem with the show, Superman and Lois, as I've said here. I think that any of the villains on that series are just everybody just has Superman powers for one reason or another. And I get why they do that. It's like really difficult to have him like have a challenge, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also just devalues how special he is, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was funny. And then he has another...
That is funny.
Last quote from him is, okay, seeing as Zeus was her father, how are they going to explain... Oh, wait, what is this? Oh, no, this isn't a quote from him. Never mind.
Why are they trying to explain the unexplainable in the first place?
Well, because...
They're trying to, like a weird humanization, but not.
Well, again, so if you're familiar with Ayn Rand's work, you understand why, like... He wanted to really humanize Superman, but not in the way that Superman is human, like we've talked about. He's human, like he's human in all the right ways, even despite his powers, right?
Right.
But
they wanted to humanize him, like
he wanted to
show more of the dark emotions.
Yeah, he wanted to humanize him in the dark way of like humans, like we question things and like what, like I forget if you've seen Man of Steel or not, but that whole movie is him being like,
yeah, I have.
I just don't know if I should be Superman.
Right. Yep.
And then the remaining films, Batman v Superman and Justice League, is very much like the world going from like, fuck Superman, he's an alien, to, oh shit, we need Superman. And like, it's just, it's such a weird thing. But here's the reason why, Marvin.
Yeah.
Back in 2008, a little director by the name of Christopher Nolan made a movie called The Dark Knight. And
damn, that was 2008. That's crazy.
Yeah. And, you know, that's a very gritty, realistic take on the character of Batman.
Right.
So that just spawned like all sorts of like, oh, what if we did this realistic or this realistic or this realistic?
The copycats.
Yeah. So it's like this dark and gritty tale of Superman doesn't like, you know, I've said this many times, it doesn't work with Superman. It just doesn't.
Nah.
It's the wrong character to do it with. So I don't know. But yeah, that's fucking stupid. Everything that comes out of this guy's mouth is fucking stupid, to the point where I don't even believe it's true anymore. I think he's just talking because he's trying to just like, you know, give his fans things they want to hear. Like I don't get it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
hey, he's playing to his fans, so whatever he makes next, they'll just go see it.
I guess so. But yeah, so in another piece of news, this time on Disney's side, the controversial Little Mermaid remake is back in headlines, Marvin.
Why?
Well, you know, the first time it's because she's a black actress, and as we know, as Matt Walsh has told us, you know, scientifically speaking, mermaids cannot be black. You hear that?
I did not hear that. That's fucking stupid.
Matt Walsh is like one of the most like Christian.
That's the guy. I know that guy.
He's a Christian conservative, like nationalist fucking idiot who hates trans people, gay people, black people.
He released that What is a Woman or whatever. That guy. Okay.
He said on his podcast a while back that like mermaids live deep below the sea, so because they wouldn't need melanin in their skin.
Oh, right.
Scientifically, yeah.
Scientifically.
yeah. So apparently it's back in making headlines again. Because of a deviation from the source material. Apparently, the live-action remake will feature some altered lyrics to the classic "Kiss the Girl" musical number. You know that song, "Kiss the Girl." That's the song that the fish sings.
Oh, I don't recall, but
it's when the fish is trying to like coax the fucking dude to kiss her or whatever. Anyway,
okay.
The director noted that those changes are because the culture and sensitivities have changed over the last 34 years, and they need to be respectful to those changes. We asked Lin-Manuel to make some slight adjustments to the original lyrics for Kiss the Girl because it's important to remember that the culture and sensitivities have changed over the last 34 years, and it's vital that we are respectful to those changes.
That's pretty understandable.
Yeah, according to this article from The Direct, these new Kiss the Girl lyrics will do away with the character of Prince Eric forcing himself upon Ariel in the film to include consent and reflect more modern social attitudes. The original lyrics.
Let's go.
The original
Kiss her with consent, as it should be.
I mean, come on, bro. The original lyrics sung by Samuel E. Wright's animated crab Sebastian it was Sebastian, not the fish. My bad. Saw a charismatic crustacean sing, "Yes, you want her. Look at her. You know you do. Possible she wants you too. There's
Possible.
one way to ask her. It don't take a word. Not a single word. Go on and kiss the girl.
Oh my God. No wonder, bro.
Yeah.
He's fucking, yeah, okay.
So the original composer, the original film's composer, and collaborated with Lin-Manuel Miranda on the remake, recently told Vanity Fair via CNN that people have gotten very sensitive about the idea that Prince Eric would in any way force himself on Ariel. So a rewrite was a must. Additional changes are also being made to Melissa McCarthy's version of Poor Unfortunate Souls. She's playing Ursula, doing away with lyrics like, it's she who holds her tongue who gets a man, meaning like, just shut the fuck up.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. So like, none of that sounds unreasonable to me.
No, it sounds great.
No,
I mean, times are changing, guys.
Yeah. I mean, there's a classic song.
Change with the, yeah.
There's a very famous song by some moderately small musical artist by the name of Bob Dylan. The times they are a-changin'. Please get out of the new one if you can't lend your hand. Oh, the times they are a-changin'. Basically, shut the fuck up and get out of here if you can't handle change. Like, it's,
yeah.
Like, you have to, as a society, grow, right? So, obviously you have a vast, large number of people on a particular side of the argument being like, fucking woke and this, that, and the other thing. But like, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah. Nothing at all wrong with that. And also, who's dying by the source material for fucking Little Mermaid? Is that the hill you die on?
Marvin, they're out there making videos.
Your fucking Bible?
They're shooting fucking Bud Light fucking with like machine guns and shit because they hired a trans person for an ad. Like, these are those people.
It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, we've talked before, right? About like where we're in agreement sometimes when like the wokeness goes a little too far, right?
Sure, yeah.
But that's when that's to me when it feels like pandering, which in a lot of cases it are. Like, let's be honest. None of these fucking companies, Pepsi, fucking Bud Light, or Anheuser-Busch, all these companies, they don't give a fuck about representation or any of that shit. They're just doing it because they know it sells their product.
That's true. 100%.
All this controversy with Bud Light, good or bad, like, there's no such thing as bad advertising. I'm sure you've heard that before, right?
Yeah.
So
also, maybe it's unfair to the companies. It's possible that some of them are changing with the times and not just doing it for.
I'm sure some of them are. Yeah.
Money.
I mean, in a movie like this, we talked about this back when the trailer came out. It's like, who cares what the race of the actress is who's playing Ariel? Like, if she could sing and is a good actress, like, who fucking cares? Yeah. It's a fake creature, like, it's a fantasy creature. And then with the song lyrics, like, yeah, okay, we have a better, like, we have as a society, for the most part, come to a new understanding of like what it means to kiss a fucking girl or a boy or whatever the fuck you're into. Like, you can't just go in. I'll be honest with you. Maybe I see it differently because I've always been like a kind of a fucking. I've always been like on the scared side of making a move on somebody. Like, if you go on a date, there's that weird moment of like, should I kiss her or him or whatever.
I mean, dude, it's a difference between making a move and forcing yourself.
Yes, for sure.
On someone.
But what I'm saying is I've asked a girl before, like, hey, is it all right if I kiss you right now? Like, because like, who the fuck? I don't want to make somebody feel like awkward. You know what I mean? Like, that's just always how I've been.
You don't want to get that.
It wasn't even about getting shut down. It's more about like, oh, well, I've put this person in a really awkward situation now.
Yeah.
That they may not want to be in. Like, I don't think that's right for anybody. Yeah. So, I don't know. I've always had that attitude. So this to me is just like fucking a walk in the park. I'm like, yeah, okay, of course. It makes sense to change that. But anyway, people are flipping out about it. What else is new?
Of course.
People will find a way.
They always do.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. By the way, Marvin, this isn't really movie news, but that game that you tried to fucking sell me is getting absolutely shit on in reviews. So I want an apology.
I saw, yeah.
Did you see the video I sent you?
It's I saw some of it, yeah. But I was kind of browsing Reddit, looking at the complaints. Some of them are valid complaints.
Okay.
I definitely don't think it's a $70 game, which is obviously why it is on Game Pass.
Right.
No other respectable AAA developer puts their game if they think it's a good game.
What's the name of the game we're talking about?
Redfall?
Redfall.
Redfall, yeah. It's by Arcane and Bethesda.
Yeah.
They made Dishonored and Prey, which are both amazing games. But there's a lot of talk about how this was going to be a live service game. And then at the last second, they changed it or something. So I don't know. I'm one of those guys where it's like, I still was having fun. So
I saw there was also some talk of it being always online now. Like it has that weird requirement.
Yeah, they're supposed to be removing that, but as of right now, I think that is the case. There's complaints about FPS, but that's for console plebs anyway. So get good, kid. It's like 30 FPS locked on console.
Of course, yeah, that's great.
But sucks to suck on that regard. Another one is host progression is tied to, or story progression is tied to the hosts. That's pretty valid.
You know how I feel about that shit.
Games do that though. Like even Grounded, which we loved, was the same, but it was a little different because they had a better save system. But
story progression's one thing.
Yeah.
But the way that fucking zombie game we played, where you're tethered to the host and you can't.
Oh, that is terrible.
Yeah,
that's awful.
That's bad.
This doesn't have that, thankfully, or that would be.
No, I think Grounded did it pretty good because, like, the only thing that's weird about that, like, and I've actually thought about this recently when we were playing Valheim, because it became like a problem for you specifically. Like, you didn't play for one day and then like you felt like you were behind everybody else.
Yep.
Like, I was trying to think of what's the answer for that, really. Of like, you get
outside of your friends waiting is not much, I don't think.
Well, you get good games to play with your friends, right? Like Valheim is a great game to play with friends. It's just that like there's only so much. Like I like to build and like do shit in those types of games, and not everybody really likes that.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, outside of waiting, it's like, what are you supposed to do? Grounded was kind of the same way, really. Like, well, you could like explore and stuff. There was times where like you logged in without me, or Dusty logged in, and then like we would come back and be like, oh, I explored this area, but I didn't do anything beyond that.
Yeah.
I think Grounded did it pretty well, actually, to be honest.
Yeah. I think so. Grounded also had more RPG elements too, right? So like you can go level up some weapons, try to unlock some perks and that sort of thing. So
yeah. But yeah, so back to some movie news stuff. Again, nothing groundbreaking, just little things I thought were interesting to talk about. Another thing, people are outraged over on Twitter. People are getting very mad at James Gunn, saying James Gunn he's apparently just. People are not happy with the fact that he casts his wife Jennifer Holland in a lot of his projects. She was in the Peacemaker show. She's been in. I think she was in the new Shazam. I think she was in the fucking Rock movie or whatever. She's a central character in that universe now. Not central, but she's a character.
Is she good? Is she a good actress?
I think she was great in Peacemaker. She had some real scene-stealing moments in Peacemaker.
Wow.
Again,
who cares? That's the way I see it.
Right. If she's a good actress,
she can hold up.
All that should matter. But now, turns out, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had its official debut this week.
Did it? Oh, shit.
Like screenings and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it turns out she has a small part in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and over on Twitter, people are really freaking out that like, oh my God, why is he giving his wife all these roles, and it's nepotism, and it's this, that, and the other thing. It's like, yo, like, if this is like, who fucking cares, bro?
A small part.
First of all, this guy is making movies that require like an immense amount of time devotion to them, right?
Right.
You're away for all these weeks and shooting and this, that, other thing. What's the big deal if he wants to spend some quality time with his wife, so he puts her in his movie? And if she's good, like if she's a shitty actress, that's one thing, but she's not.
That's one thing.
So who fucking cares? Again, another situation of like, I don't understand why people have a problem with just everything.
If it was a small role in this one, so I don't even understand that.
Yeah. It's too bad Dusty's not here because I'm sure he would have talked about it. He's been waiting on this. There was a teaser that came out for Dune Part 2.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he's been trying to get us to watch part 1 for a long time.
That's true.
Maybe we'll schedule it for this month.
Yeah.
Finally, I don't know, but yeah,
apparently is great. So,
yeah, I'm sure it's good. Yeah, no, I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure it's good. I just 3 hours. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
apparently, some more movie news. The Mario movie passed $1 billion, I believe.
Big news.
I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't. No.
That was sometime last week.
I almost watched it the other night, and then I moved on with my life. But I'll watch it eventually.
It's good. I don't think it's like groundbreaking because it's still Mario. But
yeah. I thought this was interesting. Michael Shannon, who's General Zod in the upcoming Flash film, he made some. He was asked about working with Ezra Miller. Of course, Ezra Miller has had some interesting things going on in his personal life. And Shannon said, I hear there's been some, I've got to admit, I'm not looking at the trades every morning, keeping my finger on the pulse of things, but I know there's been some issues. It seems like they're ready to let it out. If you're talking about Ezra Miller, I thought Ezra was lovely, very kind to me when I was there. Difficult to talk about, but I always give people a lot of slack in this business because there's a lot of people in this business that have issues, and some people have more privacy than others. And he said, anytime somebody is out in the spotlight getting picked on, I feel for them. Even if it's warranted, it's still a horrible situation. So it's kind of like the sentiment that we said, like, who fucking cares? Like, it's their personal life. I get that, like, they're movie stars and stuff, but, like, let it be personal for it. It really probably sucks to be a movie star, honestly. Like, yeah.
It definitely does.
I mean, you get to play dress up and get paid lots of money to do it, but at the same time, it's like you just everything you fart and like it's in a tabloid or some shit.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're out there doing fucked up shit, I think you deserve all the hate you get. Like, if you're like, what did Ezra Miller do? He's like starting a cult, he's grooming kids and doing weird shit, right? So it's like, yeah, I don't think he really should get any slack there. And I think it's funny that this guy is like, yeah, he was great. I'm like, yeah, cult leaders are normally fucking great, amazing, charismatic people.
Yeah, look at Trump. I mean,
exactly.
Is that not a cult? I think it is.
It is at this point. Yep.
Yeah. So my last thing that I want to talk about, I brought it up a couple days ago. I don't know if you were in the call with us. We were talking about it. I brought it up to Dusty, but apparently Mila Kunis has been the topic of some swirling Marvel rumors.
Oh yeah, I remember us talking about this.
Yeah. She had a little lunch with the director of the upcoming Fantastic Four, Matt Shakman. Mm-hmm. And according to her, it spawned the rumors. But anyway, the rumors circulating that she is, up for a role in the Fantastic Four film. Now, at first glance, you would probably guess like, oh, she's probably up for the role of Sue Storm. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But the rumor is not about Sue Storm. It is that she is going to be playing a gender-swapped version of The Thing.
Yeah.
And that has people riled up over on Twitter. More going woke.
Of course.
Yeah.
Good Lord, dude. Give it a rest.
So in the comic books, The Thing, his real name is Ben Grimm, and he was mutated into a disgusting rock monster.
He's not disgusting.
But also in the comic books, he is very specifically a Jewish man, and that plays into a big part of his character. And he doesn't have the easiest go of it. So just a little description here from Wikipedia. In keeping with an early taboo in the comic superhero world against revealing a character's religion, the fact that Ben Grimm is Jewish was not explicitly revealed until 4 decades after his creation in the story Remembrance of Things Past in Fantastic Four Volume 3, number 56, in August of 2022. In this story, Grimm returns to his old neighborhood to find Mr. Scheckerberg, a pawn shop owner who he knew as a child. Flashbacks during the story reveal Grimm's Jewish heritage. He recites the Shema, an important Jewish prayer often recited, over a dying Scheckerberg who eventually recovers. In a later story, Grimm agrees to celebrate his bar mitzvah since it has been 13 years, the age a Jewish boy celebrates his bar mitzvah. Since he began his second life as the Thing, to celebrate the ceremony, Grimm organizes a poker tournament for every available superhero in the Marvel Universe. In the 2004 Fantastic Four story Hereafter Part 1, A Glimpse of God, the Thing is killed by an energy weapon wielded by Reed Richards, but is brought back to life in one story by the hand of God. Out of universe, Jack Kirby featured the Thing on his family's 1976 Hanukkah card. So being Jewish is a very big deal for multiple reasons. Obviously, it is a comic book theme to really never delve into religion too much because, for one reason or another, that's controversial to people. I don't know why. But
I was going to ask why they withheld that.
I don't know. They always say it's like, oh, you shouldn't talk about religion. It's like, why not?
Oh, that sort of thing. Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
So, Matt Shakman said that he specifically wants to cast a Jewish person. I think Mila Kunis is Jewish, but I don't know where these rumors came from that she's going to be playing Ben Grimm or a female version of Ben Grimm. Now, in the comic books, there is a she thing. So I don't really know. Anyway, Mila Kunis on one of those late night talk shows said that she squashed the rumors. She is not in Fantastic Four, but she said she knows who is, whatever that means. So I don't know.
Whatever that means. I think it would have been funny to see her as the Thing.
I'd be cool with her as, I like her as an actress. And I think, I don't know, like I would be down with her as Sue Storm, but we'll see. But in similar fashion, another big star recently squashed rumors, or there is a rumor that he turned down a major role. Apparently, Denzel, your boy, turned down, according to reports, according to industry scooper Grace Randolph, Denzel Washington turned down Marvel Studios' offer to play an MCU supervillain in 2025's Fantastic Four reboot.
Damn it.
What Fantastic Four supervillain, Marvin, do you think they're talking about?
I don't know.
Apparently, Galactus. It's been rumored that Galactus will be the big bad of the Marvel Studios' upcoming Fantastic Four reboot for quite some time. Whispers even indicate that the dangerous force of nature will even bring along a new herald. Do you know who that is, Marvin?
No. Oh.
Yeah, you know. No. Silver Surfer, baby.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Same Silver Surfer that's getting a
things are heating
45 minute
Again, I don't know how to when you talk about like Marvel stuff, it's very hard to, you got to take it with a grain of salt because they're fucking they give false news to fucking like,
that's right,
spread fake rumors, and they squashed them. Obviously, Denzel's not gonna be like, "Yep, I'm playing Galactus," like one of the largest villains in Marvel history.
That's true.
So,
damn, Denzel in the Marvel, that would be, oh man.
Michael B. Jordan admitted he has some ideas for where Washington could utilize his talents in the MCU, but Marvel isn't the only one with possible openings for Washington in the future. I personally would like to see Denzel because there were a lot of fan castings for like X-Men villains and stuff. I think Denzel would be a great Magneto, personally.
Oh my God! Yeah,
now
I can see that.
Now in the comic books, the X-Men is very much a story about civil rights, right?
That's right.
It mirrors the stuff with mutants and humans, echoes civil rights of the 50s and 60s, and in the comic books, Magneto was a victim of the Holocaust. He lost his family in like I think in a concentration camp and all this crazy shit. I think if you wanted to modernize the X-Men a little bit, but still have it tell the same story or have a similar message, having a guy who's old enough, who was a black guy who could have had like experiences in the civil rights era before that, before the civil rights movement, I think that could lend itself well to the story. But yeah.
Definitely gonna cause uproar though. Another race swap.
Yeah, it's woke. It's too woke. another interesting thing about Galactus, like Galactus. See, there was I saw another rumor along with the Mila Kunis thing about that they might be going after Antonio Banderas to play Galactus, and I'm sitting here like, Galactus is just going to be a CGI cartoon character the way Thanos was.
Just a voice, right?
Yeah, I mean Josh Brolin's performance was great, but. But I don't know. That's all the news that I was able to muster up.
I don't remember seeing much else.
No, I like talking about controversy, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sir.
thought there was some interesting stuff. Obviously, Guardians comes out this weekend. I'm going to see it. Do you plan on seeing it, Marvin?
Nice.
What do you think about that?
Maybe I will.
Should we schedule it for an episode? Okay, we'll have to talk to Dusty about it.
One way or another, I'll watch it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm seeing it Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah, there's so much Fantastic Four rumors. It's like hard to even keep track of at this point now. Apparently, I just like clicked another thing. It's like, oh, Margot Robbie's rumored to be playing Sue Storm. Like, just tell me already, please.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's the news for the week. Let's get into this week's review. Put your roasting pants on, Marvin.
Why was this movie 2 hours?
Why was this movie made? I'll take it a step further.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I got another question. Was there a good actor in this movie?
No. Nope. Maybe one. But we're talking about Scream 6. Absolutely fucking awful movie. Marvin, did you know that when you put on a Ghostface costume, you become 8.5 feet tall? No matter what your
and strong as fuck.
No matter what your human form is, you just get these supernatural abilities in height. Yeah.
I read about that.
So yeah, this is Scream 6, directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, written by James Vanderbilt, Guy Busick, Kevin Williamson. It's never good when you got like two directors and 3 writers. Yeah, it's never a good sign when you got that much. But this film, of course, once again stars Courteney Cox as Gail Weathers. We got returning characters from Scream 5, Melissa Barrera as Sam Carpenter, Jenna Ortega as Tara Carpenter, Jasmin Savoy Brown as Mindy. Skeet Ulrich is back again as Billy Loomis. And Mason Gooding as Chad Meeks Martin. And of course, Roger Jackson, the longtime actor who does the voice on the phone, is back once again.
Okay.
And then we got a couple of newcomers this time. Dermot Mulroney, I guess is his name. He's been in some fucking shitty romantic comedies over the years. Detective Bailey.
Oh, has he?
Josh Segarra as Danny Brackett. You might recognize him, Marvin. He was Pug, yeah.
That's right.
We got Jack Champion as Ethan Landry, Liana Liberato as Quinn Bailey, and a couple of other people. Tony Revolori from Spider-Man is in this as well. And Hayden Panettiere comes back as Kirby Reed. She was in Scream 4, I believe.
That's right. Yep.
And Samara Weaving as Laura Crane. Samara Weaving actually is funny. I meant to bring this up earlier. We were talking about Evil Dead. So during when Ash vs. Evil Dead was on the air, you haven't met her yet. She's in season 2, I think.
Oh, okay.
She has a small role, but she was in season 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead, and some set photos came out of her, like kind of bruised and bloody, as one would be in an Evil Dead story. But those pictures got leaked onto the internet, and people were saying that she was beaten up at a Trump rally for being a Trump supporter.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a Trump supporter.
No, she's not. It was just they just took pictures and invented this fake person. Like, this is a Trump supporter who was beaten up for being a Trump supporter. But it was just pictures of her on set. Yeah. So yeah, we got Scream 6. This is so Scream 5 was another requel, which is like a reboot / sequel. I don't know if you saw Scream 5, Marvin.
I didn't, but I did watch like a recap of 1 through 5, to get back up to speed on everything. Yeah.
Scream 5, well, it's not really Scream 5, it's just called Scream.
That's right. Yep.
And Scream 5 is 25 years after the first one, brings back, Nev Campbell as Sydney, Courteney Cox, David Arquette. But we had Jenna Ortega. Jenna Ortega and as Tara, and her sister Sam were basically the targets in Scream 5 by killer Richie Kirsch, played by Jack Quaid. And Jack Quaid is from The Boys.
Yes, he is.
And his motivation was just that, like, he was so obsessed with what Billy Loomis and I don't even know what the fucking other killer's name in the original one was, but he was so obsessed
Shaggy.
with Shaggy, Matthew Lillard. He was so obsessed with what they did that he wanted to make his own movie, basically, right?
Yeah. Is that just like the recurring theme? Like it's
pretty
always
much.
revenge or copycat, basically.
In Scream, yes.
I've never really been a fan of Scream in general, I think. Like maybe the first one, and then after that it was like I couldn't really get in. It was just it felt too cheesy.
Well, the early 2000s was like we've talked about this before. It was like the revival of like the slasher genre, right?
Yeah.
Scream, made by horror icon Wes Craven, was very much a homage to Halloween, right?
Yeah.
So much so that in one of the characters in the film, what's his name? Randy, played by Jamie Kennedy. He's like a huge Halloween fan.
Right, yeah.
And he's trying to figure out how to survive. Like it's like a very meta thing. Like he's talking about like he's following the rules of a horror movie, of a slasher film for him and his friends to survive. And that theme has carried through the entire fucking series. They took that movie thing and ran with it, right?
They really did, yeah.
Stewart is the other killer in the original.
That's right.
So Scream 2, like they're in college and like there's another killer. I don't remember what the motivation was. Scream 3 was like Sydney's like fucking half brother because her mom was like a whore or some shit in the first one, and he's like a big film producer. He was the director of the the Stab films. He was the killer in the third one. The fourth one was like her cousin.
It was crazy. Yeah, like Jesus Christ.
Scream 5 was what we just said, Jack Quaid.
Yep.
And this
one, we found out that even he's related somehow.
Yeah, and this one,
the new fucking
This one has the worst killer motivation in any of them. It is when they revealed it. Okay, so here's the thing about me. I've talked about this before. Like, I'm pretty good at figuring out. And it's not that difficult, but I'm pretty good at like early on in films figuring out like who the killer is, why they're doing it.
Yeah.
This movie took me for a fucking loop because it was so fucking bad. Okay.
So
turns out
no way you figured this out, dude.
Turns out the killer. Well, let's set up the movie, right? So this is like a year after Scream 5. Jenna, Ortega, Tara, and Sam. Well, Tara and her friends Mindy and Chad go off to college in good old New York. We're bringing the killer to New York nowadays, which
amazing
was the dumbest choice possible, and I'll get to that. But they're in New York. And they're going to college. Tara's sort of living her best life, kind of trying to forget that she almost got murdered a year ago. And her sister Sam kind of followed her like, yo, like, how are you just pretending like we weren't almost murdered?
Right.
And they kind of have like this little fucking issue with one another. And of course, people start getting picked off. The phone call starts, begin happening. The movie opens up with a killing, right? As Scream movies often do. And it's our homegirl, Samara Weaving, as Laura Crane. She's a film professor or some shit, film theory. I don't know what she's doing. And
slashers specifically.
Yeah. And if there's a slasher course, I'd go back to college right now because I would ace that fucking class, right?
Yeah. You should teach it.
I should teach it. Get me a fucking job at a college. Harvard, where you at? She's out at a bar waiting for like a date from like one of these fucking Tinder apps or something. And of course she's catfished.
I was reading it was called Flirter, I believe is the, I was reading kind of like after I watched it, I was reading back.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they call it. I thought that was funny.
Flirter. Turns out she's being catfished and she gets lured out into the alley, which is pretty fucking stupid.
Yep.
And
it was so cheesy. He was like, you fell for exactly what you like you study on. It's like, bro, how is this cheesy right now?
and as soon as she's murdered, we get a reveal of the killer, and it's our boy Tony Revolori from Spider-Man. The character's name is Jason Carvey. And he takes off the mask, and you're like, oh shit, like here's the killer. He goes back to his apartment, and he gets a phone call with the voice, and he thinks it's his roommate, and apparently they were planning these killings together. They were obsessed with fucking Richie from Scream 5.
That's right.
And they were trying to complete his movie. But our boy gets fucking murdered and finds out that his roommate got murdered. Boom, boom, boom. There's another killer.
His roommate got fucking Dahmer put in the fucking fridge.
Yeah, chopped up and put in the fucking fridge. And this killer on the phone is like, he has a different motivation. He's saying this whole movie like, nah, to Sam, like, you're responsible for the killings, like, because there's this like weird conspiracy theory going around the internet that Sam actually committed the killings or some shit. But clearly they're trying to build off of like all this, QAnon nonsense that goes on in real life, but
for sure,
very poorly, man. Yeah, and it's just like a pretty standard, like, killings start happening. Oh, they get chased. Oh, here's the killer. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
But
it's very long. It's just so long.
The idea to take this movie out of like small town Woodsboro, wherever the fuck that is, and put it into Manhattan is, as a New Yorker, like one of the dumbest decisions ever, because from the first 2 seconds of the movie, you're like, oh, this would never happen in New York. I mean, yeah, I'm sure people get killed and mugged in alleys all the time, but like,
yeah,
it's just, there's very few places in Manhattan where there's just no one around to witness a killing, like a brutal murder in an alley.
In a downtown, like outside restaurants.
Yeah,
There's no way.
Like peak dinner time, like multiple restaurants, like there's just no chance.
Oh my God.
And the movie takes place actually on Halloween, believe it or not, which means that everybody's running around in Ghostface masks, so you don't know who the actual killer is.
The classic, yeah. And
really just the whole time I'm like, man, none of this would happen in Manhattan, particularly the scene at the little bodega, right?
Man had a shotgun. How you get a shotgun and you're in fucking New York, bro?
Well, he would have a shotgun probably. Maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
That was believable.
Yeah, that's true.
But again,
I guess that's believable.
The fact that at like just 8 o'clock at night in Manhattan, like 2 girls go running into a store in panic, and then the killer chases them in, fucking kills everyone in the store.
There's no cops in sight.
Well, the cops do show up. That's what I was laughing.
Late as fuck.
I know they came like 20 minutes later, like in the course of the scene. But like, I'm pretty sure the NYP. Here's the thing, right? Obviously, in certain areas it's different, but in like the really populated areas, which around a college, you would assume. I don't know what did they ever say what college they were at? You would assume NYU because like
more something. What was it?
I don't even remember.
It started with the M, more something or something like that.
But like there are fucking NYPD.
I don't think it was a real school.
Okay. Regardless, there's NYPD on like every fucking corner in the city.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit just right away. I was like, okay, fine. And you know me, I'm not one to like, I don't need my horror movies to be like super realistic or whatever, but like that's dumb.
Yeah.
That's a dumb thing. Yeah. Like you have to think that one through a little bit, right?
Right. Yeah.
So then we're introduced to Dermot Mulroney's character, Detective Bailey, and he is the father of Tara's roommate, Quinn. And he's a little concerned. He's like, oh shit. The 2 survivors of the Woodsboro murders a year ago are fucking living with my sweet daughter, Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get on this case. And at first he kind of thinks that they're guilty because he's believing the fucking rumors. And then he's kind of like, I don't know if you guys are telling me the truth. But Hayden, Kirby Reed, shows up and she's with the FBI now because she survived her stabbing in Scream 4. Now she works for the FBI. She believes the girls. And she's here to work on the case. Tell me why Hayden, so real quick, I'm sorry. I don't mean to talk shit about her, and I don't know if it was done for like makeup purposes, but she's 33 years old. She looked like she was 60 in this movie. What's the deal? Did you notice that?
They definitely tried to age her like more.
Okay.
And then they tried to give her like this dialogue to make her seem more serious, but it wasn't good dialogue.
No, none of the dialogue.
The stuff she was saying was like, FBI wouldn't, I feel like they wouldn't speak like this.
No.
And then the detective guy, he asked them, do you have anyone else that could vouch for you?
Yeah.
And they're like, no one that's alive. And he's like, yikes. I'm like, really? That's what we're doing right now?
This guy's the worst actor alive, by the way. Dermot Mulroney. He like, I said, he was in like My Best Friend's Wedding. He was in Young Guns. Yeah. Like he's been in some movies. He was fucking awful in this movie.
It was bad.
Like the dialogue he was given was really bad. Because you asked earlier, was anybody really good in this movie? The answer is no.
It was so bad.
I do think Jenna Ortega wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But the dialogue was terrible, right?
It really was, yeah.
I don't think Jenna Ortega was that bad. I don't think Jasmin Savoy Brown was bad. She's like the new Randy, like the obsessed horror movie person who's like figuring out how to survive.
Yeah, right.
She's from that show Yellow Jackets. I actually think she's pretty good actress. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, she was pretty good. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
Yeah. But speaking on like the lore and stuff, it's like literally everything in these 6 movies is like tied back to the original with Sidney Prescott.
Yeah.
Like now even our 2 main characters, Tara and Sam, are like which I don't even understand. I must have missed this in Scream 5 or I don't remember it, but like Billy Loomis, the killer in the original, like how is he the father of Sam? He died in high school.
Remember.
Like
I don't remember actually.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I got to look it up. Hang on. Because
there's a connection. Hey, there's always a small connection.
Well, okay, Sam Carpenter, right? She's the protagonist of the Radio Silence reboot. What? Oh, Radio Silence reboot of Scream films, beginning with the 5th film, simply titled Scream. Having run from a troubled past, the former Woodsboro resident returns to her haunted small town in California hometown to aid her younger sister. That was in Scream 5. Later, she and the Core 4, consisting of herself, her younger sister, and Meeks Martin, are confronted, blah, 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 in New York City. At age 13, she discovered the secret of her birth origin. She is the biological daughter of original Ghostface serial killer Billy Loomis. Correspondingly, this also makes her the paternal granddaughter of the first copycat Ghostface killer, Nancy Loomis, who appeared in Scream 2.
Oh, because that's his... Yeah, that was his mom. I do remember that.
But how is she the daughter...
You don't need to know that. You just need to know
I need to know this. No, I need to know this. After
he was fucking. What do you mean?
After her legal father's abandonment due to her birth origin revelation, she spiraled into a life of drugs and crime that dismayed soon Sheriff Judy Hicks.
I don't remember all that.
No. So basically, Billy was just fucking in high school and got somebody pregnant.
You know, babies happen. Yeah.
Okay. Well, sure. And she's like visited all the time by like his fucking ghost or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Force ghost, 80-year-old Skeet Ulrich with like wrinkles under his eyes and shit. Like, bro, kid died when he was fucking like 18. Give him like, try to make him look young, please.
That's fucking funny, bro.
Yeah. And then, you know, by the finale, we get a little bit of like a red herring that, oh shit, Hayden, Kirby Reed, FBI let her go because she went crazy. Oh my God, it's Kirby all along. Nope. It's actually
she became.
It's Detective Bailey. And we thought she was dead. Roommate Quinn. She wasn't dead. That was fake.
That was a body double. Yep.
And the third party, Ethan Landry, the fucking quiet kid, nerd, virgin guy,
turned out to be. Yeah,
and the 3 of them were the brother, sister, and father of none other than. Tell us, Marvin.
I can't even remember.
Killer from the last one, from Scream 5.
That's right. Fucking, I forgot his name.
Sound it out. Richie.
What was this? Richie.
Yeah.
Richie.
So basically, the family of Richie couldn't believe that their sweet son would do such things, even though actually the dad knew that he like did them pretty much.
Yeah, he's fucking collecting evidence from like the fucking lockup and shit, and so he can make this crazy shrine.
Yeah, there's this like
what the fuck?
They buy out this theater in New York that's just like a shrine to all the ghost faces that came before. And it's all from like...
They even had the TV that they dropped on the other guys. Why do you have that?
It's all stolen evidence and shit that they just like... So, not the best father in the world.
Yeah.
It was just the dumbest fucking thing. Now, Scream 5 was fucking bad. I watched it with Dusty a while back and we both...
Was it?
It was so bad. So I didn't expect much for this one. Yeah. But I got fucking fooled because it's got good fucking ratings. It's got a 6.8 on IMDb. And when this came out, people were like raving about it. I was reading it. It's like, oh, Scream 6 is like a new direction for the franchise and this. What the fuck are people talking about?
How is it a new direction even? It's the same fucking minuscule connection.
I have no idea.
They just keep threading it to the next one.
I'm sorry if my little synopsis didn't make any sense to anybody listening, but the movie makes no sense. So Just take it with a grain of salt.
Really doesn't,
it's a typical Scream movie. Like, people get phone calls, people start dying. Actually, people don't start dying because half of the people that got killed in this movie didn't actually die.
Bro, so many people got stabbed viciously and just lived.
Quinn was one of our first kills. That was fake. She lived.
Yep.
Courteney Cox is Gail Weathers, who, again, okay, let me just say something real quick. I want to preface this by saying I don't look down on people who get cosmetic surgery at all. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Nothing at all.
Sure. Yeah.
But at least look like a human being. Her fucking, like, her lips, this is what she looks like.
Bro.
That's going to be the thumbnail, by the way. That's what she looks like.
I felt like she aged so crazily.
Well, because she has work done. That's not good work. Like,
yeah.
In my mind, like, again, you want to look like whatever the fuck you want to look like, fine. But it's not my business. But, like, in my mind, you know, I'm a less is more kind of guy.
Yeah.
You want to, like, subtly do that shit. Her shit's not subtle at all.
You don't want to go full fucking Kardashian type shit, bro.
Like, her lips are, like, fully stretched across her face. It's bizarre looking.
Yeah.
When she's delivering her dialogue, it's like her mouth isn't even moving. It's like, it's almost like, scary.
I don't think you've started it yet, but it's like The Undoing and what's her name?
No, I haven't started yet.
Oh my God. Nicole Kidman is like...
Yeah, she's got the mouth shit?
She can't, you know, she tries to do the, I forgot what it's called, but when they're acting with just their face without dialogue, I don't know what they called that, but man, it's like, bro, she's trying so hard, and it's like there's no expression happening.
Yeah, it's just I don't get it, but yeah. So Courteney Cox, she's back as Gail Weathers, like absolutely pointless in the movie, right?
Yep.
Like in Scream 5, she was like an asset. She's like one of the veterans. She's been through this fucking numerous times. Promise I won't write the book about this. She ends up writing the fucking book anyway, and then they hate her for a minute, and then they don't hate her right away. It's just completely, she makes no point, zero purpose for her being in the movie, other than it's like, hey, look, it's Courteney Cox from all the older ones.
Yep.
She gets stabbed, doesn't die. Our boy Chad gets stabbed like 38 times by two people, just like literally Drax the Destroyering his ass. And he's just magically alive at the end of the movie.
Sandwiched, bro.
Yeah.
He's just fucking.
He's alive.
Shit.
Nobody. So like nobody really even fucking died in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like. None of the main characters. Let's put it that way. None of the core four, they call them, and maybe that was like some weird joke they thought of in the writers' room. Like, hey, you know, it'd be funny if like the core characters don't die. Because those are the rules of, like, they really like went heavy on like the rules of sequels and reboots. It's so convoluted and stupid.
Yep.
I think they just need to end like the franchise.
Yeah, just let it go.
Because you know what? Like you said, you didn't really like the first one that much. Okay. I started saying it before. The first one was like part of the new age of like slasher films. Very much an homage to Halloween. Halloween was very much an homage to Psycho. And it was like kind of passing the torch. And it was cool, like the meta stuff about horror films was like kind of cool and interesting because it was fresh. It hadn't been done before.
Yeah.
And like the story was actually like kind of good. It wasn't that bad for a slasher movie. But now, man, I mean, they've all been bad ever since. And like so uncreative. Why is everything tied to the fucking first one? Like, that's dumb.
It's the bloodline keeps going.
You could make a Scream movie just that has a copycat killer. Like, that's a perfectly plausible
it doesn't have
plot.
To be the cousin, twice removed.
Yeah,
like,
the cousin's sister's brother's uncle's mother's aunt who fucking was a teacher at the college Sydney worked at. Like, you know, it's like,
and Sydney wasn't even in this one.
No, she was mentioned by name. She's always mentioned by name. It's like always.
And
Sydney,
I looked
Sydney,
it up,
Sydney.
and it was because of like a payment thing, a money thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
She didn't feel like they offered her enough to be in it, so she didn't want to take the part.
Right. Now, you know, like there is a legacy in horror films, slasher films. I have nothing against Neve Campbell. I think she's a good actress or whatever. She like in the first one, she's fine. It's like, she is not in the pantheon of like final girls in slasher films, at least in my eyes. Maybe in like other horror fans she is, but it's like Nancy from from Nightmare on Elm Street. It's fucking Laurie Strode, and like, I feel like that's it. Really, honestly, like they're the screen. They're the final girls.
I think I agree.
But yeah, I don't know. This just reliance on like the old thing is like it's way out. Like they're out of gas with this.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, going back to like the original one came out at a time when like the slasher genre was revived, but you had a lot of these movies that all felt the same. All the early 2000s slasher films were very cookie cutter. You know, there's Scream, there's I Know What You Did Last Summer, there's like the Valentine's Day one, there was Halloween H2O, like, but all these movies feel the same.
Yeah.
So, you know, think it's time to put it to bed, Marvin, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I agree, dude.
Like, why do we need more Scream films?
We don't.
Especially if you're going to give us some shit like this.
Yeah.
But I don't
definitely serve this purpose. But they're going to probably keep making them because
they make money. Yeah, I mean,
they make money.
You know, I don't get where this is getting good reviews though, because I look through IMDb as I normally do, and they are all bad. All of them. I scrolling through 1 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 1 out of 10. Like, where is this good score coming from? Apparently, critics liked it. I swear to God, critics got paid off to give
critics
this movie
like this? Yeah, there's no way, bro.
I'm telling you, there is collusion.
There's got to be collusion.
I'm telling you, because
because no, dude, there's no way,
bro. If you go to Rotten Tomatoes, I was like flabbergasted.
What are they seeing this? Yeah.
There's no way they're legit. There's just not a chance in hell. I don't believe it. Look, 77% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with a 91% audience score.
Bro, what?
I don't know. Here, let's see. Critic reviews. I don't even know what the fuck this means, so I'm not going to read it. It may fumble the premise in more unique moments with its disappointing reveal, but Scream 6 is certainly a step in the right direction for the franchise. Really? What? A fun sequel that effectively amps up the violence and meanness of the kills and centers on a strong sibling dynamic, though it doesn't pull the swings it needs to make this a memorable film. That's a fresh rating, by the way. Scream 6 is a great slasher movie for a new generation that is sure to please fans for the original movies. Did you watch it, or did you just write a fucking headline that could get clicked on? Another sequel in the super self-aware franchise that finds itself rebooting again with just enough familiarity and predictable retreads mixed in with fresh jolts of horror and what is an often seen in all before genre. Okay, well, I don't agree with any of that.
There's no way, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just not a good movie all around. There's not even much to talk about. We even like covered everything that's in the movie.
Yeah, because they're like all the same for the most part.
And it's 2 hours and 2 minutes. Like, why was it that long? Evil Dead Rise was an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And they fucking jam-packed that movie with like a ton of shit.
They did, actually, yeah.
But the movie's always moving. This is like trying to build this weird like sister dynamic that I don't give a fuck about, that didn't even work because I don't give a fuck about any of the characters. I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for fucking Sam. I don't feel bad for Tara. And then at the end, they did this like weird Halloween 4 thing where Sam like may or may not be the next killer because she's like being fucking...
because she's like looking at the mask, like contemplating like, next.
The ghost of Billy is like massaging her like kill, kill, kill. My reference Halloween 4, Marvin, is little Jamie. She's in that timeline's version. She's like she's the daughter of Laurie Strode, who's now dead. And by the end of the film, she's like wearing the clown mask and she kills her like stepmom or some shit. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't. There's like, you know, I don't want to try. Like, I don't like to shit on things. Like I try to look for good things in movies. There's not a thing about this movie that I thought was good or that I liked, really, honestly. It wasn't entertaining. I was looking at my phone more than watching the movie half the time. The story made no sense. Well, it made sense. It was just stupid. The setting was stupid. The killer was stupid. Their motivation was stupid. The characters are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Everybody's fucking stupid in this movie. Even the person, even the chick that like supposedly is a horror genre expert. Like, she's fucking dumb.
She splits up and she fucking gets like, what?
They do this thing at one point in the movie where like she's given the pep talk. She's like, all right, we're in a requel and these are the rules. Everything, the kills are going to be amped up. It could be anybody. None of the core characters are safe. Everybody's a suspect.
So let's just immediately split up on
they
the
literally
and get killed.
Yeah. They literally say like, Ethan, you're a #1 suspect right now. Sure enough, he was the killer, one of the killers.
And she's with them.
Like, Quinn couldn't have been a suspect because she got murdered. So I guess, that was smart. But like,
right.
I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty good at like guessing who it is. I pretty much knew it was Detective Bailey. It was like the other two that kind of like, well, obviously I didn't think it was Quinn because she was dead, right? But Ethan, I was like, I guess it could be Ethan, but he's like a little too obvious.
Yeah, he was.
Little did I know the writers were so fucking dumb that they did make the obvious choice, the killer. Maybe I got outthought. I don't know. Maybe they have a bigger brain than me. But Detective Bailey, I was like, nah, this dude's sus. Like, he's clearly the killer. Like, there's just no shot that he's not.
They actually did a terrible job of making you think it was the other people.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think it was the neighbor pug guy at all.
Nope.
I didn't think it was anyone outside of Ethan and the detective.
Yeah. You know why I thought it was detective right off the bat is because the killer kept saying on the phone, like, I'm going to punish you for doing what you did. I'm like, this definitely a fucking cop. Like, it's got to be. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to say about this movie? I fucking couldn't stand it.
No,
I hated it.
waste of life.
It was a waste of time.
I mean, I guess you could watch it if you are a super fan of Scream, but
you'd be disappointed. If you're like a super fan.
Actually, yeah, you might just fucking hate it. Yeah.
Or maybe not, because if you're a super fan of Scream, that means you liked all the sequels and they're all pretty bad.
That's true. That's true.
But I hated this movie. Again, it's got a 6.8 on IMDb. This is like a 4 for me.
Yeah.
Like, very low.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not one redeeming quality of it. Like, really.
I don't even know what to rate this.
They even tried. They go so hard to like call back to the original films. They even have the song from the original one, like randomly. My red right hand. You know that the bump. Like it was just jammed in at this random point in the movie. Yeah,
good old forced nostalgia.
Yeah,
nothing like it. I guess it's like a 5 or something.
Okay,
it's like not even worth rating. It's like not even.
No, it's not actually even worth rating. You're right.
It's not even worth rating.
I don't give it a 4. I take that back. You're right. It's not even worth giving it a rating. It's not worth it.
I guess I'll give it a 5. Like, I don't know. Who fucking cares?
You've seen it here, folks. A harsh language first. We just cannot even rate it.
Can't even rate it.
Nah, if I had to at gunpoint, it's getting a 4. Like, I don't know where the 4 points come from.
Right.
Well, no, I actually can't rate it. I really don't, because there's not a thing that I could say like.
There's nothing redeeming about this.
You know what? I'll give it a 4 because I thought Jenna Ortega is good. I think she's a good up and coming young actress. I don't think she was given like a great. She didn't have much to work with. I thought she was pretty good. And I'll say I like the logo. I like how the Roman numeral 6 makes like the M in Scream. Like, okay,
true.
So that's about it. That's
graphic design bias.
Yep. That is all I could say about this. So
yeah. Terrible.
Yeah, there it is, folks. That's yikes.
Not good. Yeah.
And you know what's crazy too about this, really, just real quick? Like, one of the directors was a producer on Zodiac.
Wow.
And Zodiac, from my mind, is like one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Now he seems like one of those producers that just like works on a lot of stuff, but either way, you're part of that movie. Like, that's something, you know?
Yeah, it should be.
One of the other directors, Guy Busick or whatever, he was a writer on a show, Castle Rock, that I thought was really good and liked. Now, it leaned pretty heavily on Stephen King lore, but either way, pretty good show.
Yeah.
That's one of the writers. These are the writers I'm talking about, not the directors. I'm sorry.
Right, okay.
And then one of them is like a writer of the old Scream movies. He's been on it for a long time. Maybe he's just credited because of his characters and story. I don't know. But I don't really get where you go wrong here.
Yeah. Just let it die.
I think so. Like I said, I think it's time. What is this ready?
I mean, how many times? What else they gonna do? They've already did the family revenge multiple times. They've already did the copycat multiple times.
Well, the copycats were all specifically tied to the original lore.
Yeah.
Like, when I say, okay, so I've talked about, and I don't want to harp on this too long, but I've talked about this often with like Halloween, right? Like, don't bring back Michael Myers and it's over. Right. I thought a better story would have been without him. But there are ways to incorporate Michael Myers without incorporating Michael Myers, if that makes any sense. Like his presence is still felt.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a copycat killer, which they played with in the newest Halloween, right? He was a copycat. He was possessed by the mask or whatever the fuck. But like, had they just stripped all that shit away and made a copycat killer story, the Michael Myers' presence is felt. His impact is still felt, even though it's a different physical person. Same with Scream, right? It doesn't have to have these deep lineages. It should just be a kid who's the Scream 5 was a bad movie, but at least that killer's motivation made more sense to me of like, oh, he's a sick fucking psychotic kid obsessed with these murders that took place 20 years ago, and he's just trying to recreate them. That makes sense in my head.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. At this point, it's like, what, is Vin Diesel going to be the next fucking killer? Like, and it's like tied to fucking Fast and Furious, some shit.
Yeah. Adopted son.
Yeah. Oh, man. Anyway, there you have it, folks. There's our thoughts on Scream 6. Very, very underwhelming and bad movie. I can't recommend seeing it.
Not even worth your time.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's going to do it for us, folks, this week. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks a lot for listening. We'll catch you next week, folks.
See ya.